I'm Tom Leonard. I'm the host of the Gamers Change Lives podcast. When it comes to esports, I'm not an expert. I'm more of an explorer. The goal of the podcast is to talk to esports entrepreneurs and others around the world to learn how esports can create jobs and to hopefully inspire others to do just that. Our tagline is play games, create jobs, change lives. In season 2, we're talking with experts in sponsorship, investment, media rights, and more to show how to generate revenue for your esports business. After all, it takes money to create these jobs. We call the season Follow the Money. Now, I'm honored today to have Frank Sliwka, global esports gaming and digital entertainment opinion leader, Keynote speaker, COO, and he's also a professor. All kinds of great stuff to talk about there. Welcome, Frank.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for having me in your podcast.
So where are you speaking to us from?
I'm based since years in Singapore, so a little bit in the middle of the really evolving esports and gaming industry. It's, I think we have here double-digit growth every year, especially in Southeast Asia. So it's good to be here in Singapore.
Yeah, right in the middle of everything. That's great. That's great. Now, you really do have one of the best backgrounds for all the different things that we're talking about here in season 2. But one of the things I want to start out with is what got you into gaming? What got you into esports in particular?
That's a very good question to start with. I think it's every time if you have a need and you're looking for solutions, then you come into it. It's over 20 years ago when I worked at that time in Germany at the convention center. I was responsible to bring the gaming industry to the biggest consumer electronic shows in Europe. This was my job. Unfortunately, at that time, the games industry don't want to join. They want to do their own show, and this was then Gamescom, so the biggest game show in the world, and then in Cologne. But 20 years back, they don't want to join. They want to have their own show. But my duty was to bring the games industry to the consumer electronic show. So I did some research, and then I'm sorry to say this, I saw these kids playing competitive gaming and thought, what they are doing, it's so fantastic what they are doing. And I said, okay, if I bring them to this show, to the consumer electronic show, then I have the games industry because they play the games. I may have not the newest games, but I have some popular games they are playing, and then I have maybe some game publisher, something else. So this was my starting point, the connection with esports. And I was really fascinated, and that's what my fascination is until today. It was created by a community, and it's driven by a community. And this was the starting point, and this honestly was in 2001. 2001 was a starting point with esports events alongside big exhibitions. So I have to say I was the first one to bring them. And then in 2002, we started at Games Convention in Leipzig. This was the show before Gamescom, to bring really all the big esports organizers on board and put a focus on esports. And since then, since I met, this was, by the way, the ESL people, was other ones, so really veterans of esports. I met them there, and I followed this business until today.
So were they like, here in the United States, we have always had like CES was the big show in Las Vegas.
Yes, correct.
Yes. So it sounds like that was the kind of.
Yes, it's a very German
kind of bringing games to them.
Yeah, it's a very German word, internationale Funkausstellung. But this is the biggest, and I think most people in Europe or in Germany, of course, they know about this event. It's really the biggest consumer electronic shows, but it's very similar to the Las Vegas show.
No, it's interesting. Yeah, the history there of trying to match those two up, because certainly I remember being in the computer business, computer manufacturing side of things, working in that industry, and it was like once we kind of discovered that there were people that play games on these machines, it was like, wow, maybe we should start making machines that are for gamers. And it's just like, and price them a lot higher than the normal models.
It worked, but yeah. No,
Yes,
I
yes.
think that's what we have with online gaming, that it's really based on where you can really test out what PCs can deliver on the technical side.
Well, I think to a certain degree, gaming has kind of really helped the PC business because they were kind of, going, by the wayside in a lot of ways compared to where they were. But now it's like the PC gaming is really huge.
It is, yeah, I agree.
So the three things I want to talk about today are, we could talk about a lot of different things, but I want to talk about growth strategies. I want to talk about education, and I want to talk about events and networking, because you have a background in all of these. And particularly one of the things that I like in some of your background that I was looking into, working in emerging markets. You're in Singapore, which is not an emerging market, but there are a lot of them right nearby, and you probably worked in some of those. So you have a really good perspective on that. Now, our audience is made up of entrepreneurs, esports entrepreneurs. Some want to be esports entrepreneurs. Some are esports entrepreneurs. But what advice would you give to someone, particularly in an emerging market, that would be interested in joining the esports industry? Any particular advice for them?
Yeah, I think first of all, you need a very solid business plan, and secondly, to prove this with market research, if this really needed or not. If you have that, then I think you're good. If you want to do your own company, then this, I think, it's essential to have that. If you may get more experiences first with, let's say, an existing bigger esports company, or with brands that are working esports and core gaming, then it's a different story. But I think this is a good way to learn, and then see maybe where are fields where you can get in, or where you can maybe support the community or the growth of esports. But as an entrepreneur, what you need is a solid business plan and a market research.
Yeah, I think that can be true in so many industries. I keep hearing you talking about the word community, which I think is really a good way to describe so much of the esports, of the gaming world. It really is a community.
Yes, I think that's what says a lot about esports or core gaming. And every game has its community. And let's say if we are working from Esports, for example, we're working a lot with Dota 2. So what we did from a strategy, we followed the biggest communities around the world. So let's say if, for example, Philippines, it's very big, and then Dota 2. So it makes a lot of sense to start there with Dota 2. I think in Vietnam, it's not so strong. So maybe that's not a country you should focus on. That's what I meant a little bit with you have to do your market research. But from my perspective, this is what I said earlier. The beauty for me, it's based on communities. And these communities are mostly very active, and they are very open. And I think to understand esports in a really good way is what I mostly mention if I give talks or keynotes. As one point, if you have a live stream, if you have a broadcasting on the traditional TV for golf, for example, you have 4 people out of 10 watching this are playing themselves golf. If you have a soccer or football match on the traditional TV, live stream, live broadcasting, 1 out of 10 are playing themselves football or soccer, in this case. If you have games, there's a huge difference. It's 10 out of 10. So what we exactly know in these cases, everyone who's watching games is playing games, or everyone who's playing games, watching games. This shows how active these communities are in the games for most of the games.
And it would make a huge difference in creating the content too. It's like if you're creating the content and you know that the audience knows the game because they play the game, that's different than some of the traditional sports that you're describing.
Yes, and it's very important that you know this about when you set up a business or you want to grow your business. So you you know how to deal with your clients. So that's why I said every time you need your statistics, you need your market research, you need data about what you're doing. And then I think this is one pillar that you may be successful in this area.
So when you talk to people about growth strategies out there, if someone's already has a team, or maybe they have a tournament, or maybe they're a streamer and they want to grow, what do you tell them about the best way to grow their business?
That's another good question, and it's not really easy to answer that. There are different profiles. What you talked about, teams, let's say event organizers, offline, online, and then you have the big streaming part. And everyone has different targets. So from my perspective, what I know, teams, there's a lack of teams. If we compare this to other sports, in esports, we have a lack of teams. We need more teams from my perspective. And there's a good chance to create a team. If you're looking to event organizers, depends a little bit on what scope you have. If you're, let's say, more a tech company, you have a platform, or you're an offline event organizer. But both based on communities. So start with local communities and grow it from there step by step. Influencers, it's very important to create a profile. So everyone has to know for what you are standing for. So for esports, for example, we have streamers that work for years into streaming, and especially for Dota 2. Today, they will be hired by TI to do the Spanish or the English main broadcast. So they go step by step. I guess everyone here will agree that success is not coming overnight. In most of the cases, and it's very hard work, and it goes step by step.
No, nothing's simple. No one's handing things out that way.
Sorry, especially in esports, because one thing is what we have learned, and I may be a little bit older than most people in esports, but if you look over my experiences, you mostly educate people, brands, mostly non-endemic brands. Endemic brands, they may know about it, but even you have to educate and teach parents about it. So it's nothing like if you maybe sell a car, everyone knows what a car is. So it's much easier. So, but for esports, you need a really good strategy, how to approach your potential clients.
Do you think that it's changing over time? The brands, the knowledge of what esports is. We were talking to, for example, Luca Tucconi at Red Bull South Africa, And one of the things that he said that I thought was interesting, he said a lot of interesting things, but one of the things that I picked out was that he was saying there's a greater chance now if you're in pitching a brand that the guy on the other side of the table, on the other side of the desk, is a gamer. He said, and in the past, that was not usually the case. So you had to explain a lot more. He said, but now it's coming, it's more and more people are familiar with it because that's their background. Do you notice that things are changing?
Yes, of course. I think it maybe sounds a little bit arrogant, but for the games industry, it's a little bit sit and wait because they're coming the young ones and they grow up with games. I think I grew up with board games. If you look to my kids, they don't play any board games anymore. Even if I want that they play it, they don't play it. So this is a natural process. And yes, I agree what he said. It over the time it's easier, but today, and that's where we're living in, there are a lot of decision leaders. They are around their 50s, 50 plus. And they may not grow up with games, and they may not understand that. But, and you're right, it will change. I was on a conference last week and listened to a talk from Unilever, from an executive from marketing. And what he told us, we understand gaming. And for us, it's gaming the first way to do digital marketing. We know that, and we take it, and we go from there. So this was really, really interesting to see that such a big brand thinks in this way. And yes, he was young. I think he's in his 30s. So he grew up with games.
That was Unilever, you said?
Yes, Unilever.
Do you find other industries, like let's say the entertainment industry, do they understand esports?
The entertainment industry, or?
Yeah, like movies and television.
I think they understand that games is their biggest competitor. They know it. They understand that. Yeah, they understand, of course, it's entertainment industry. They understand it. Most of them, they're in the digital space, so they know exactly what happens.
Most entrepreneurs, what they really need to do is to create a team around them. I mean, I always say it's a very esports kind of thing. It's like you create a team and you go on a quest. And do you have any advice for people that are looking to create a team, where to find people?
This is I think for every company owner, it's the big question how I get the people I need. Very, very difficult. In esports, and let's say in core gaming, there may a little bit of lack of knowledge. So only there are a few people, they already work for years in esports and know exactly what to do. That's why education is, from my perspective, very, very important, to teach and educate people and give them the educational background to go into this area. What I learned and what we are doing, you at a certain stage of your company, let's say after seed fundings, you need people from outside of esports. It depends a little bit on what you are doing. If you have a platform, you mostly have developers. They are outside of esports or gaming. They are developers. They are back-end developers, and they are focused on that. You have this already, and you have to teach them, okay, what features you need and so on. If it comes up to teams, from my perspective, yes, you need someone who understands the games very, very, very deep and how communities are working. But you also can benefit from someone who run ice hockey club. Or someone who set up a sports academy. because that's, I think, from a process, it's very similar. So I'm a huge fan to bring in knowledge from outside into esports so that we can grow everything in esports and learn from these people.
Yeah. One of the things I'm learning here is thinking sometimes I think of esports as being like one industry, one giant thing out there. But when you're talking about teams, you're talking about tournaments, you're talking about platforms, you're talking about streamers, it's really a different business for each one of those.
It's you have a completely different profile and targets and tasks to do. And there's a lot more outside if we are only looking to the tech, so production. The entire production, not only the streamers. The streamer needs tech in behind. You need platforms where you can stream. So there's a lot more out. But if we are going back 15 years ago, we don't have that so much, the difference in all these jobs. But now where the business is growing, you have more people specialized in different areas.
Yeah, you brought up education, and that was one of the things I wanted to talk in more detail about, because I completely agree that education is so important. Is there where do esports entrepreneurs, where do they get training? Where do they get educated? What kind of opportunities are there out there?
Again, it's a question what you are doing. In general, if it's about, let's say, introduction into esports, there are a few universities in UK and Asia. They offer that. There are some workshops from companies. I know it's here in Singapore. We do this in Malaysia. They offer kind of workshops, but that's, I think, the characteristic of a growing young industry, that this has to be much more established. What we know, the Malaysian government, for example, is very much behind esports. We learned about now Saudi Arabia. They are going very massively into esports, and they are within, I think, 2-3 years, one of the big players in esports. Yeah. And education itself is a huge topic, because it's exactly what you said, where I get it, what I get it, what is needed. So this is really something what you have to look into it. And it's not only about, let's say, esports management, what I'm teaching. It's also about what I talked a little bit about, academies. Is there any license for coaches? Is there any guidelines for team managers? If we are looking to the development side, I think I was asked about this one. Are there any specialized education or diplomas for esports tournament platform developments? No, it is not. No, not to my knowledge. So the beauty with esports is in the next, I think, 2-3 years, you can create a lot of pathways for yourself as an entrepreneur. In education, you of course need the background. If you don't have it, then it's maybe quite difficult. But I guess this is something what will we grow. One of the sectors in esports that will grow much faster than other ones in the esports area.
When you talk about the Malaysian government, the Saudi government doing things, do you find that other governments are out there supporting esports in maybe not to the same degree, but at least recognize that there's an opportunity there?
Yes, we have several countries around the world that recognize esports as a sports officially. What is good, including Singapore. Secondly, I'm teaching since I know 5 years esports management in Italy, and the university where I'm teaching it. This degree education is officially recognized by the Italian government. No one knows this really. So yes, there's some governments, they talking about it very officially, very loud, with a lot of coverage. Other ones, they do it, but it's not really known. I guess that every government around the world understand that the gaming industry in itself, with all the different directions, it's will play a huge part in the job market in the future.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we talk about here. That's, all the different jobs. And one of the things that we always talk about is just the variety of jobs that are out there.
Yeah.
A lot of times people think of esports as the streamer, as the player, that you've got to be a CSGO player if you're going to be in esports. And that's just like one of thousands of jobs.
And please don't misunderstand me. Let's put it in this way. Not every former soccer player will be a good coach or a good company owner. We have the similar things in esports. So esports is growing and it will be much more established. So that you need qualifications, you need experiences, and this will come. And you see if you look 10 years back, 15 years back, publishers was not so involved in esports. Now, if you look into franchise leagues, if we see the involvement of publishers into esports, it changed. Even what I can say that we at Esports, we will be approached by publishers. Hey, can you add our new game to your platform? So it's the recognition of this kind of business. It's growing. This is good. This is bad side. The good side is it's officially growing. It's much more established. People are watching much more out to that. It's maybe easier for us not to educate everyone anymore. They understand what esports or core gaming is.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things we also come across once in a while, people go through accelerator programs. We were talking to some people in Zambia who went through an accelerator there called Bongo Hive. And it was really helpful for them to think of their business as a business and not just a hobby or just a passion. So it gave them some training there. Do you find other accelerators are also playing a role in educating people in the business?
Yes, of course. People are learning if they're an incubator or an accelerator program, and especially accelerator programs gives them the opportunity to think much more professional. That's right what you said. You can build your business of passion. I'm passionate about what I'm doing, but you need a certain business background for that, and let's say a fundament that's based on not only on passion.
Yeah. You need the passion, but you also need the smart to go along with it.
Absolutely, and I can tell you if we think about to add another game to the platform, this really needs a business analyst to do this. There are so many factors what you have to counter, and if you put everything together, at the end, it's a business. Even we are passionate about it, but we're also passionate about it to survive. So in this case, you have to see a lot of numbers. Then you may come to the decision, hey, the user acquisition for game X is 10 times higher than for the game B. We go for the game B. Even we may be not so passionate about this game. But there's a lot where you need much more professionality now than maybe 10 years ago. When in this case, when the founders of Esports started, one of the founders, we every time says he has 15,000 hours of marketing research. So he played 15,000 hours of Dota 2. So he knows this game 100%. And this was really good to establish that. And this was passion, but this was also experiences. And he transformed this into a business. And now we have people, they do the analytics for the game. And we are in the process to think, okay, which game we can add to the platform. It's not anymore, I was passionate about Dota. I had a need because there was I couldn't do competition online with other ones. I created that, but if we are looking now into the team, it's much more professional than 7 years ago when Esports started.
No, it's gotten to the point where, people that used to not put all their gaming experience on their resume because it looked frivolous. It's like now it can be a plus instead out there.
Yeah. What I said, it depends a little bit on what stage a company is and what you're doing, and maybe an influencer, yes. The gaming background and the access to the community is maybe much more important than if you work, let's say, as an analyst and platform operation manager.
The other thing I keep hearing you talk about is really data, the numbers on things. And I think one of the things I think a lot of people, don't want to be involved in the numbers, or maybe don't feel like they have a background in the numbers. And many times they're missing out on the information that could help them out.
I think that's with every business in which industry sector you're looking. And if you don't have money at your account, you have a big problem. So you have to look always into your numbers.
Yes.
Maybe if you do it as a hobby, that's maybe different, but if it's a business, and then I said, if you're coming into an investment cycle and you are, let's say, after CSA fundings, the situation for a company, it's changing dramatically. So, and if you're not used to look into numbers, work with numbers, I guess you will run over the time into a huge problem. And so, we have to make revenue. We have to look into these numbers.
Right. If you're not really good with numbers, make sure that you have someone beside you that is really good with numbers.
Absolutely. That's a good mix. Yeah.
It's going to be. My background is in, I was always doing digital marketing. And that was one of the great things that I always liked, was all the numbers, because that's how you learn things. That's how you tested things and figured things out. And it was like, in a way, doing the email marketing was just a lot of, it was a game to see how you could improve things. So I like the numbers, but not everyone does.
Yes, and the numbers, and if you look to numbers, especially if you talk about digital marketing, what we learned, it's that after Corona, the approach for digital marketing from big companies is changing. Before that, it was more about quantity. Now it's much more quality. So if we are looking to influencers, I can bring you, I don't want to misunderstand. Every streamer is great and doing a great job, but there may be someone out there have millions of followers, but they may be not really active, connected to a community. So there's maybe an influencer out, and that's only an example. It's maybe only connected to 100,000 people, but it's an active community. This is and it will be in the future much more interesting for companies that are doing digital marketing. And honestly, it's not coming from me, it's coming from a very big digital marketing agency. So I don't want to
I completely agree.
I don't want to offend anyone. But that's the way how it works at the moment.
Well, I think starting out, particularly doing activations, or if you're getting sponsors, or your whatever it is that you're doing, it's like one of the things that always comes in. What do they? How do they measure success? And for many, and it depends on the brand. Many, it's like it's eyeballs. It's like we need this many eyeballs for this amount of money, and if you can deliver that, then we're all heroes, sort of thing.
Yes.
But I really like what you're saying. We just like it's more than just eyeballs. It's how engaged are those people with your brand. And I think one of the things is with esports, you have an opportunity here to really create that engagement. You have the ability to create that affinity. I mean, it's a little hard if you're selling shoes or other things, but with games, I think there's an opportunity.
Yes, and please, if I can come back to that, what I said earlier, 10 out of 10 gamers are watching and playing games. So you have this connection. This is what we know.
Exactly. The other thing I wanted to touch on here for just a little bit is networking and events, because I know that you probably have more experience in events than probably anyone that we will ever talk to on here. And just how you were describing some of your earlier work at some of the biggest events out there. How important are events to an esports entrepreneur? I'm not just talking about going to a tournament to watch an event, but are there other events that you would recommend esports entrepreneurs go to network?
Another good question. First of all, I can recommend every esports entrepreneur to go to live events. You have to feel what happens there, which atmosphere is there, how people are celebrating the games. I don't want to talk a little bit about or what we see and on what we learned. That's really good. Secondly, take your friends with or brands you want to work with, or even an investor, and show them the excitement, what happens there. Sorry. Very important. I do this often and take them out that they can see, okay, the community is there, how old they are, who's there as well, how is it set up, how is the engagement. Very important to show this and to get really a feeling and understand how the setup of these events is, and you can see the teams, how they are preparing for matches. You can see what the tech stuff is doing. You can see a lot. I can recommend that if you have the chance. Second, if it comes up to B2B events, you have different targets. One is if you want to establish you as a brand in the esports industry, go to every esports B2B event you see and talk to people so that they know you. You need a solid plan. You need a message. If you're looking for sponsors, then you may go to other events where you can find these sponsors. That's maybe not only esports or gaming events. It's a little bit with your own agenda and your own target. But I think the first step is really to be recognized in esports industry, is to go to every esports or gaming event, what you can do and talk to people and create your community, your B2B network.
I've told so many people, it's like when they're like on recruiting sponsors, which like I said at the beginning, I'm not an expert on. But one of the things I know is just exactly what you were talking about there is like, take the people you are trying to recruit to your events. I mean, if you want to get someone excited about esports, you put them in a live event. If they're not excited there, you're never going to get them excited.
Yeah, this is correct. And then think about if you go with your wife to buy a car, who's buying the car? And secondly is you're mostly not buying the car, you're buying the seller, the salesperson. So if you bring someone to an event and he's excited about, he also value what you did for him. So you can create these relationship. What we are doing in 1.5 weeks here in Singapore, we're doing for our clients a Oktoberfest party. So it's live music, everything, and you invite our main partners to have fun, to have 2-3 hours fun, to create a community and say thank you to our partners, that we value them. So these are things what you may have to do in the future.
Yes, and what I always tell people is to, when you're taking the prospective sponsor to your event, give them 2 additional tickets for their kids.
Yes.
Have them bring their kids, and then they will. Everyone wins in that situation.
Absolutely. What I did, I took the father first to it, and the next day he should go with his kids. He is a king, so it's a double win.
Yes. Yeah, you know how to do things. It's like I can tell here, because because one of the things that's so important. I like hearing you talk about, go out there and talk to people. Don't just go to the event to observe, but introduce yourself, because networking is so important. It's particularly in smaller markets. It's like we were talking to people in Ghana. It's like everyone knows everyone. So it's like you want to be known by the people there.
Listen, if there is not an event in your region, then create a smaller one. What I said, we do an Oktoberfest. It's maybe on a higher level, but you can do let's say a meetup every 3 months or 4 months, and invite people, and then grow it and talk to people. Invite people from different sectors you may want to work with. But if you want to go more, let's say, regional or international, you have to go to events. And honestly, it's quite easy. The people at these events and in general in esports community, they are very communicative. They are very open. So I think most of the people are really welcome and talk to you. And if you then attend more events, you will be much more established, and then you may have a relationship and business mostly based on good relationships.
Yes, and the other thing that I heard you say that I wrote down was say thank you to people. Show your appreciation. Yes. It's like, cause it's a lot of times we forget to do that. And that's just a life lesson. But in general, in business, it's like, make sure that they feel like they're appreciated.
Honestly, I try to have good relationships with our competitors. Why not? We work there. Of course, I know that what we can deliver and what we are able to do. But I'm really happy to meet them and talk to them. It's good, and sometimes you find a way to collaborate in some things because they are not in this region, they are not in this game. You never know, and so very, very important.
And that's part of the fun, because you never know. You might not be doing anything right now, but 6 months from now, who knows what you might be doing.
This industry is so fast. The growth could be so fast, and maybe in a year your organization is much bigger. So this as you said, you never know what is in 6 months.
A couple of other things. I don't want to take your whole day here, but I did want to ask about mobile. Now, mobile, is that the future of esports? Mobile esports?
Yes, at the moment it will grow, and it's much easier to reach people because everyone has the device in your hand. It's easy, and a lot of people can afford a mobile phone, maybe not the high level PC, but you need to play on a higher level games. So yes, it will be. We know that publishers focusing on that, establish more mobile games, and yes, you can reach much more people.
And it's certainly more popular in Asia than in
Yes.
many parts of the world.
Yes, it's much more popular here.
Yeah. The last question we always ask everyone: should the Olympics include esports in their official event?
Honestly,
Please.
I think esports should create their own way to do it. Yes, if they invite it to the Olympics, we never should say no. Of course not. It gives us much more business opportunities. But I think as long we try to be community driven, we should think about how we can create something similar based on games and on what is needed. I don't want to go in a competition. And yes, we can be part of it, but on the other side, I think esports should look for their own event.
No, we kind of hear 50-50 on it. And there's a lot of people that have the same opinion there.
Yeah.
So, no, this has been a really good conversation, Frank. I really appreciate your time here on the podcast. So where can people come across you online?
I think the best way is to contact me over my LinkedIn profile.
Okay.
So there's good, and then they should check out esports.com, our tournament platform, where they can play in I think around 50 tournaments a day. So and then Dota 2, but in Valorant and in other games, global platform that there you can fortunately not meet me playing games. I don't have the time, but it's a brilliant platform to enjoy and engage with other gamers. Yeah, that's two ways.
We'll put a link there. I've got a question. I'll eventually let you go. How do you pick the prizes for your tournaments? Because that's something that everyone seems to struggle with. Figure out how much should you be giving away in prize money?
I think this is a good topic for another podcast.
Okay.
Because this is a very comprehensive.
It's more complicated.
Huge topic. It's more complicated, but everyone tries to get this prize pool supported by partners. That figures it out. But this is really nothing what I can answer in 2 minutes.
Okay, no, that's fine. No, one of the things that just like you're describing, the industry is so open. You can go and see what other people are doing. Yeah. So that's one of the best ways to learn. Hey, thanks again for your time. This is the Gamers Change Lives podcast. Season 2, follow the money, play games, create jobs, change lives. Thanks, Frank.
Thank you. Bye-bye.